Let's make a wholesome video today, and we're going to talk about Elon Musk. Now, it's interesting to notice why do so many people like Elon Musk. I mean, you have people that go on Twitter, do not purchase his products, and they like him as a person, even though they never spoke with him. Does that make any sense? Kind of like a celebrity. I know there's people who don't like him, but I'm talking about the ones that do. And I think the reason, like the main appeal that Elon Musk has, especially with younger people, has to do with the fact that he seems like a normal person. And I'm not talking about the fact that he tweets about anime and whatnot. It's just like when he's tweeting, he's talking about things that normal people talk about, and he praises capitalism, which is quite bewildering. If you look at other billionaires, all of them are like, oh no, wokeness is the ideology we worship. Yes, we're all into social justice, inclusivity, and equity. We're such rebels while being billionaires. And Elon Musk isn't like that. He's not putting a rainbow color icon and going around about how much of a social justice activist he is. Like you get the feeling that his Twitter account is actually owned by him and not by a group of PR people. At least that's the vibe I get. And I understand why some other people don't like him. Like, for example, he promises things and he doesn't deliver. In other words, he's a salesman, which is what a CEO is supposed to be. So I get that criticism. But I also understand why people like him. And here's an example of why I personally enjoy looking at his Twitter feed. There's this guy, which I assume is a fan of him. Like, why would you make something like this unless you like the guy? And it shows his private jet flight path. So yes, there is a person on Twitter that actually did this, and there was an account which showed exactly when Elon Musk is leaving and where he is going. And as you can imagine, Elon Musk doesn't really appreciate this. First of all, it's creepy. I mean, imagine if someone did this to your car. Like, there would be like a Twitter handle which showed where you're driving your car and how much time you're spending and where you're going. I mean, that is kind of creepy, isn't it? And for a billionaire like Musk, that's also a security issue. So I get that. And the reason that I appreciate what he did is that any other billionaire, like I could see Bezos or any other billionaire, what they would do is they would send an army of lawyers to harass this guy, even like what he is doing is legal. You get scared when you get an army of lawyers trying to issue takedown notices and threatening to sue you. Or they could just go over your head. They could go to Twitter and pay Twitter some money in order to make the account disappear, and Twitter can just make it disappear because of doxing or whatever. Because at the end of the day, this kind of violates the TOS on Twitter a little bit. It is kind of like doxing. I mean, you're showing exactly where the person is flying, right? And where he's going and where he's at. So yeah, I kind of see why Twitter TOS would be like, yeah, you're violating it, stop it. But Elon Musk doesn't do that. He actually contacts the guy, which in my opinion is kind of wholesome. So he says, can you take it down? It's a security risk. And the person behind the account says, yes, but it will cost you a Model 3. Only joking, unless. So, like a cheeky bastard. Again, like probably a fan of Elon Musk. And he's like, hey, yeah, sure, I'll take it down. How much? How much are you willing to pay? So Elon Musk says, I don't love the idea of being shot by a nutcase. Now, I don't know if people have the technology to actually shut down airplanes. It's probably something like you would need some military grade things in order to do it. And before I get some autistic people in the chat, they're like, oh no, I can do it with my pea shooter. I can build it at home. I can make it at home. Like, okay, right. Most people don't know how to do that, right? Even if possible. But no, realistically speaking, I don't think it's possible by like average citizens. Still, I do understand like his concern. Yeah, like knowing where you're flying, especially when you're a billionaire in a country where the prominent ideology is in the rich. Yeah, that could be a problem. I don't think Bezos would appreciate it either. So after a couple more messages, Elon Musk offers this guy $5,000. Now I gotta say, when I was a teenager, like $5,000 was a lot. I mean, it's still a lot now, but like when I was a teenager, $5,000 get to feel like 500,000. I mean, you can buy a car with that money. Sure, it's a used car, but you can buy a car. At least here in Romania. Like, I don't know the value of the money in the US, but here it has a lot of purchasing power. So you can buy a car, you can pretty much buy whatever type of clothes you want. You can get a new computer. So yeah, like $5,000. Like the idea, it's like, hey, here's 5 grand. Take down an account. Sure, why not? Then you can make another one where that tracks some other plane of a billionaire in the hopes that they will give you money. But this cheeky guy, is like, no, no, no. I want 50,000. It would be a great support in college and would possibly allow me to get a car, maybe even a Model 3. Ah! Honestly, like the nerve on this guy. And I love the slow pulling of the heartstrings. It's like, yes, I want to go through college. I think you might have had more success if you said you want to go to trade school and you asked for a little bit less. Like if you asked for like 20,000. I know a lot of people say, hey, Elon Musk has a lot of money, so for him, like $5,000 is like 5 cents. And honestly, it's kind of true. I mean, he is the richest man on earth, isn't he? I think he was, or at least the richest man in America. I forgot. But still, like, he's very wealthy. So for him, it's not a big deal. But like, imagine if he actually pays this guy 50 grand. Do you understand just how many people will start making a similar Twitter account showing where his plane is at? Because now everyone hopes to get money. So it's kind of like you're incentivizing people to do something if you pay them to do it. And think about it like when you have a dog, and the dog barks whenever you're at the table in the hopes that you're going to give it food. If you give in and you give food to the dog, you just train the dog to bark when you're at the table. So you're training it, like you're rewarding a certain activity, encourages more of that activity. It's just human nature. It's normal. So, yeah, I mean, if you were to give this guy 50 grand, because a lot of leftists are upset. It's like, oh, cold and heartless Elon Musk. If you were to give this guy 50 grand in order to take down his Twitter account, you bet your ass there's going to be like 10 other Twitter accounts popping up the next day. So, it's probably why he didn't do it. But what's interesting is when the guy explained where he is getting the information to show Elon Musk's plane, he said it's public knowledge. Like, you would be shocked how much traffic control is allowing people to have access to. So Elon Musk says air traffic control is so primitive, and in a way he is kind of right. I mean, when air traffic control was first created, people didn't have access to the internet and Twitter, so most people couldn't do this. You couldn't actually see how a rich person is flying in real time. But now you can, and I do agree, it is a security risk. Like, no private person would want this to be done to them. Like, you wouldn't want to have a GPS on your car and the location of your car to be posted on the internet 24/7. You wouldn't feel comfortable with it. So I do agree that this is a privacy issue. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.